My name is Oji Okwe. I'm here with Betty Irabor, founder of lifestyle magazine Genevieve. UBA Foundation has invited us as part of their Mental Health Awareness Week program that they're doing throughout the course of the week to raise awareness on the issues and challenges of mental health. Auntie Betty.
Oji.
I have missed you. But everyone calls you Auntie Betty, right?
Yeah,
it's
yes.
so amazing
Yes.
because it feels like a name that connects with a lot of issues, especially just, people just being comfortable in being in your presence.
Yeah.
You've done really well with,
Thank you.
this mental health challenge that a lot of women and men are facing in our society. Now, I'd like for you to talk to us about your journey, really how you were able to feel comfortable within yourself to talk about your mental health challenges.
Do you actually get comfortable to talk about something that was so dark, that was so misunderstood, that that people saw as a plague? No, you'd never get comfortable with talking about it. I got to a place and I said to myself, Betty, what do you want to do with this experience? You want to take it to your grave, or you want to liberate other people so that they understand more what this thing is all about? And then I decided I was going to share my story. And for me, it was very therapeutic, and it offered me the much needed closure and release, knowing that I've managed to own my story. And I was in a dark place for a pretty long time, and people have said to me that while reading my book At Dusk to Dew, while reading my column in Genevieve, Morning Dew, that there was a certain melancholia that was related to every edition. And people often wondered then that, is Auntie Betty okay? That's to say, how long have actually been unofficially ill, mentally. So I've had that challenge for a long time, but the last 8 years before I wrote my book, offered me a chance to actually accept the fact that I was not in a good place. And how did it start? I had more dark days than I had bright days, and there were days that it looked like the best thing to do was to just stay in a dark room. Don't pull the curtains. I don't want to come out of the duvet. Just leave me in this bondage. It seemed like a very lovely place to be, because then I wasn't accountable to anyone. If I didn't feel like taking my bath in 3 days, people understood because she wasn't well. And I was there for a long time, but I realized that I cried more for no reason. You would say, Betty, how are you? And my answer would be to burst into tears. And it was really embarrassing. So I was in that dark place for over 8 years, not knowing what it was, couldn't put a name to it. The family walking on eggshell because nobody knew exactly what would trigger me and send me trying to overdose on my medication. So I had pretty much a lot of that, and I felt it was something I did. I blamed myself because I didn't know it was a condition. And there are so many people out there who do not know that it's a condition, that you're ill, you need help. And I didn't seek for help initially because I felt this was a very ugly secret, to go see a doctor.
Well, they always say it's like a taboo now in Nigeria.
And to be told that what's wrong is that you're mad, literally. And I tried to mask it. I would go out, and I started lacking in socialization skill. I was afraid of people because most of the time people's said hurtful things, I remember wrinkling a lot. I wrinkled a lot because I'd gone from a size 10 UK to a size 2
Wow.
US, pretty much like a size 4. I was all bone and wrinkle, and people were not really very kind. People would just say to you the way it is. You've wrinkled, they have so many wrinkles. And I remember one particular lady, I still have to have closure with her, which means I'm going to find a time to tell her that she hurt me, because all part of my intentional living. I remember I'd gone to the Palms. She owns a store at the Palms, and she came out to say hello to me, and then she mentioned a movie that was showing where the star of the movie did something like this so that her eyelid,
more like a Botox treatment.
Yes, no, she what she was trying to say to me was like, there's a way you disguise this thing, just pull up your eyelids. My eyelids were drooping. I didn't understand it, and I remember every time someone said something hurtful to me, I went back 1 year into depression. So I stopped socializing because people also felt I had become snobbish, and people would say to me that, oh, that's what happens with you celebrities. The minute you start making a name, you start being arrogant. And that was me trying to hide. That was me trying to die. That was me afraid of people. I was afraid of people. I was afraid of socializing because of the venom, things that would say, oh, you've lost so much weight. This diet is too much. I was on a program to help me put on weight.
Auntie Betty, I cannot help but notice that you still tear up when you're talking about your journey. And you've talked a lot about embracing your vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I'd like for our viewers to learn how you were able to know that this is the time I have to come out and talk about it, so that it'll be okay.
Yeah. I did warn you earlier that it depends on how I'm feeling. Sometimes when I go back on some of these things, like as I said, that I still need to have closure with that lady. There were so many people, I've called so many people like, hey, and people genuinely felt very sorry because they didn't know any better. I mean, somebody has said to me, I don't know how you people get depressed. I can never be depressed. Like how? Is there a type of personality, a type of people who can afford to be depressed? The answer is no. So owning it, the first thing I had to do was, in writing the book, I was able, it's like keeping a journal and then being able to have a look at it and see the things to take out and see the things that, you want to let people into your world. Because once the book is out there, there are so many secrets, but the thing is, I am not the person who went through something like that. Every day there are people. There are so many people experiencing this dust season and trying to get into the juice season. It's just that I was doing it for me.
Yes.
More like I own my story. And the minute you put your story out there and you own it, it's a superpower. Owning your story is a superpower. Just the same way as owning your vulnerability is a superpower. And I found that over the years that it's worked for me. I'm not afraid to be vulnerable, because for me, it's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. It takes a certain maturity and courage to be able to own up that you were in this place of your life where you made 3 attempts at suicide.
Wow.
So yes, is that in my past now? Pretty much.
So that's the question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Now, the point that you reached to own your vulnerability, to talk about your mental health challenges, do you think that has helped you in getting over the mental health challenge that you face? And have you actually gotten over it?
The people ask me that question all the time, and I have to be, I have to gauge the person who's asking me in order to know how to respond. People send DMs to me on Instagram and ask questions like, do you actually do you actually get over a trauma like mental illness? And when I read the tone of the person asking, I say yes. Because at that particular time, your answer could give them hope,
Yes.
or take what is left of their hope. So I always say yes, and I'm still on medication. But the beautiful thing is that I remember one time I was like 50 milligram of a certain medication. Now I'm on 2.5. So,
Amazing.
so,
Amazing.
but everything is, we're work in progress. But one thing I'd like to say is that we fight different demons every day, even at times when it does not involve our mental health.
Yeah.
But there are different battles we fight every day. The demons always rear their heads, but the important thing is to know some of the triggers. So now I know what triggers me. I stay away from toxic environments, either the ones I create by myself or the ones that already exist. So no, I don't do toxicity. I don't socialize as much as I used to do because with COVID, I get a bit anxious being with people. And then when you socialize, people want to take selfie with you. People want you to take pictures, the red carpet. I'm not ready for that. I doubt if I ever go back to that person who used to love the red carpet. And then, but it's me being intentional now. It's about my diet. It's about my lifestyle. It's about exercise. It's about a new sense of adventure. And I am big on affirmations now. I wasn't there at that time. And my mindset, I find that one of the reasons I went to depression, aside from the obvious stress, pressure, insomnia, and the onset of menopause. We don't talk about menopause. We always talk about periods. But, we need to talk more about the kind of mental health challenge and struggles that come with menopause. So
how do you balance that? What happens during that period?
That would be
with your own experience.
The thing that hit me most was I was already depressed, and menopause came, and it now increased my level of anxiety and depression. For some people, depression sets in with menopause because
menopause,
more hormonal imbalance,
absolutely.
and so many other things. So it was now like I was already in a bad place. Then menopause came and hit me harder, and yes, the thing is, we would always have battles that we're fighting. Education is key, and the ability to open up and to seek help.
Yeah, you've talked about
those are very important.
Absolutely. Yeah. You've talked about your coping mechanism, and I'd like for you to talk about treatment options. What people can do to get treatment, and why do you even think that a quarter of the people that are facing or have mental health issues refuse to get help?
I don't blame them. First and foremost, do you have the kind of partner who understands that this is a condition, that you're ill, and doesn't begin to, because sometimes if you are in a bad relationship and you have a partner who is going to wake up one day because you had a fight and call you weary, do you understand? But I'm blessed with a good partner. We've been married 38 years, and he was with me through the journey. He didn't understand initially what it was, but every hospital visit, psychiatric visit, he was there with me. He made things easier. It wasn't easy on him because I couldn't control myself. So of course I would hit out because I needed to hit at someone. And the only person who won't hit me back is not physical hitting.
Yes.
The only person who won't hit back at me is my spouse, who always told me that things will get better. And on my worst days, I remember Sonny would come to me and say to me, "Do you know who you are? Do you know who you are?" And I used to laugh like, "Oprah, Michelle Obama. I'm like, you are Betty Irabor. You are Betty Irabor. Then he would reel off all my success stories. The ping ball. Do you know how many people you saved through the ping ball?
That is important.
Do you know, Betty, those are days when my insecurities come to play, and I'm like, God, I'm so unaccomplished. What have I achieved? You know, the mental illness preys on your emotions. It kind of brings out your low self-worth. Whatever you feel, whatever you have achieved, all your accomplishments don't matter then, because all you're hearing is that you're a failure, you're no good, you're look at all your wrinkles, look at your skin, and you know, sometimes I'll go to do makeup, and the minute I come, oh, Auntie Betty, your face is darker than your neck, and without knowing it, that's killed me for that day. I'm going back home. We're not doing the makeup again. I'm not going out again. So it's been a battle trying to do different beauty routine to get my skin back. You know, it's not vanity. It's just that I wasn't sleeping well. And when you sleep is when your body actually rejuvenates all your cares you lay to rest. But I wasn't sleeping. I had insomnia. I was on medication. I was like an experiment for psychiatrists, you know. And you went back to what should people do? First and foremost, talk therapy. Okay. I didn't have the grace of that with most of the people who attended to me. It was like, oh, you're not sleeping, you're hearing voices, you're in a low place, mood swing, 4 tablets at once. Medication. And sometimes before you finish speaking, you have a prescription on your hands. Wow. I remember when I went to Dubai, I was in this hospital. They say, he who is down needs fear no fall. So I was at this hospital in Dubai, and I went there to rest. And someone has said to me, okay, why don't you seek help while you're here? So I went to this Iranian hospital in Dubai, you know, and I remember when my name was being announced, this is Betty Irabor. Go to the psychiatric department, upstairs, first on left. And I just looked at myself like, Father, it has come to this, me, psychiatric department. And I remember getting to that department. There was a lounge. We all sat down, and then you go in and see the doctor. And I was like, Betty, see your life. Is this what your whole life is all about? Mm. You know, at that particular time, I just felt this is a summation of my life. You're such a failure. Wow. Only failures will be in a place like this. But you know, I look back and I'm thinking, wow, Betty, you've done amazingly well from then to now. Who I was then and who I am now are 2 different people. I've learned my lessons. I'm still learning my lessons. But I know the demons, and I know when they're coming at me, and I know exactly how to act, not react. I'm very much into intentional living, which means that I do not allow things to happen for me by accident. I'm purposeful. I wake up in the morning, I do my meditation, and I go swimming. I used to run for Lagos State as a student, age 12. I used to do hurdles for Lagos State. I used to represent Lagos State. And so I'm very athletic. So I go swimming, I go for a walk. That's amazing. And I do all my routine, start the day with bitter leaf juice or chew it. So me being intentional, you know, I have my natural hair. I go to the natural hair salon. My scalp is massaged. I do a lot of spas. I go to resorts. I just love me.
So those are steps that you can take in order to get over some of these issues. Now you talk.
It's not to get over.
To try.
It's not to get over. It's now a lifestyle.
Yes.
You know, and
part of your.
Yeah. Yeah. And then one very important thing is in life we must learn when to let go. When to let go. I should have let go of Genevieve hard copy about 8 years before last year.
Okay.
Because Genevieve took me down that hill, downhill, trying to be a successful entrepreneur, working on a shoestring budget, having to deal with what entrepreneurs deal with, and bringing work home, convincing yourself that you're this superwoman, you're this hashtag strong woman. There are no strong women like that. We are all battling different demons. Some of us are not afraid to share. Some of us are very afraid. I was afraid of success. I was afraid of failure. There was no between. But now, I stare at my demons. I challenge them. Nice. So I'm in a good place. I'm in a fantastic place. I've remodeled my life. I've rebranded my life. I've reinvented my life. And it's such a pleasure to go around speaking to people on diverse issues, mental health, entrepreneurship, living your best life, reinventing yourself. Because a lot of people are afraid of growing older. There's just this thing that makes you feel like, what am I going to be doing in my later years? I'm in my latter years and I'm reinventing myself and I'm loving this person that I have become.
I must tell you, you're doing fantastic.
Thank you very
amazing.
Thank you
Even
very much.
your conversation with letting go of the hard copy of Genevieve.
Yeah, it was a tough thing. And then it's the same way. We need to know when to let go of a relationship that's been dead. But we're saying to ourselves, I can still bring this thing to life. God puts flesh on dry bones. We have to recognize the time and the season. If a marriage isn't bringing you value anymore, if it's depleting your energy, if it's toxic, you know what to do. If a career is bringing you less pain than joy, it's probably time to change your career. There is nothing that we need to hold on to forever at the cost to our physical and our mental health. So it's very important that we know the time and the season and we recognize patterns.
Yes.
I should have let go of that and transitioned to the digital space. I am so grateful that Sonia I've passed on the baton to her and she's doing her thing. So I don't know much about digital. I'm an analog person, but luckily we've been able to transition into that space and we're finding our own.
But the fact that you are even able to hold on that long, Auntie Betty, I tell you, that is power on its own. I mean,
a bit of foolishness too.
Well, you're very successful with that analog, because a lot it's very difficult.
Yeah, we did our best, and I would like to use this platform to also say that it's very important to surround yourself with people who tell you the truth, and people who are there when you need them, and it's all about wealth. Surround yourself with people who understand that wealth isn't about money.
Absolutely.
It's about the time that they offer you when you need it. It's about the goodwill. It's about your generosity. It's about everything. So I've managed to turn my wound to wisdom. I found wisdom in my wound, and I've managed to turn that whole experience into wealth.
I like
as a keynote speaker.
Turn my wound to wisdom.
The wisdom, and from that wisdom,
So I wanted to talk about the challenges that you face, on your path to recovery. Yeah. While we were talking just now, you told me that you had experienced suicidal tendencies at least 3 times. Can you talk to us about that?
It was this feeling of you're a nobody that your mind tells you. And because you're in a vulnerable place, you believe everything that voice says to you. You're not in it. There's no logic to mental health. It's not logical. You can't look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm Betty Irabor. I'm the founder of Genevieve magazine. I'm a powerful woman. We advanced the narrative on breast cancer awareness. We did this, we did that. At that particular time, the voice says you're a failure. And you say to the voice, yes, sir, I am a failure. Repeat after me, I'm a failure. That's all you see. So no, I'm not a failure. I'm not a failure. But then I couldn't answer the voice. I couldn't see my essence. I couldn't see my achievements. All I could see was what the voice wanted me to see, a failure.
Well, just share with us in detail. So the first time you experienced that tendency, what exactly did you go through? What was it that you did to even overcome that moment?
Yeah. I would say that what I went through played out. It took its time, it played out. It's like a movie, you write a script and the scripts, except that you're not the one writing the script. The script is being written for you by some demons. So you are acting that role. So the power to take back the role you want to act is in your hands, but you just don't know it. So it's me rewriting the script that, no, I'm not a failure. But then there's suicide. So when that voice comes and like, take your life, just look at you. And then you are looking at you. You're looking at you. You're seeing a shadow of who you used to be. So of course that voice has to be right. So and it's like, take your life. And then you're like, okay, what's the fastest thing? What's the fastest thing? And then the only thing available is to overdose. But as I said, I was never alone. My husband was the guardian angel. My children, Insomnia and Amori. I mean, my son would take me every day. He had a vision board, and every day we had affirmations on the calendar. Mom, I would say it. I was just saying it from my lips. But when I started saying it from my gut, when I started saying it from the pit, my soul, then it became true. But for a long time, I think I'm successful. I'm successful. I will not kill myself. I will not kill myself. But it's funny. When I got to a good place, I'm like, guys, if you hear me speaking to myself, it's okay. So I'll go to the bathroom. Affirmations, affirmations, affirmations. But then, again, it was the season, the right season. I was in a good place. I was tired. My tired was tired of itself. I was like, I want my life back. I want to be that bubbly Betty Irabor, I want to be able to go out. I'm not feeling people are looking at me and counting my wrinkles. And I don't want people to say to me, have you gone dark? I've gone dark. I'm not sleeping. I'm on medication. The medication poisons your system. And because what people do is to just maybe get you out of their clinic. It's just like, take this, take that, take that. Back to the psychiatric hospital. I took my medications because, sometimes they say, what medication are you on? So I always take my medication. So I took one. It's like these 4 are the same, those 6 are the same, those 3 are the same. So my system was poisoned.
Wow.
My system. And then when I started sleeping, I slept one night. I'd gone to a farm in a place called Kettering outside London. And I was coming from New York Fashion Week, which I didn't attend. I got sponsors. I'd had all this thing. I got to the hotel and the voice came again. You want to go to fashion week? Everybody will now see you. You're not looking good. So I stayed in my hotel and did all the crying. My staff were like, we're here. Where are you? Are you on your way? Yeah, I'm on my way under the duvet. It was that kind of thing. It was so sad. So from New York, a friend, I'm talking about people you surround yourself with. I don't want to, her name is Nana. So she'd seen me one day at a hotel where we go for breakfast in Ikoyi. And she didn't react the way people normally would. So she was so gentle and like, oh, Auntie Betty, there's this place I think you must visit. It's a resort, it's outside of London, you should just go, and all that. And then of course she gave me a 10-day voucher, which probably was about £3,000 or something, so voucher. And the voucher was almost expiring, like nearly a year later. Coming from New York, my daughter said to me, Mom, since you're in England, now go to that place. But I didn't want to do anything. So I went there. And I remember Susie, the owner of the resort, saying to me 10 days later, when you came in, we thought you had a terminal illness. Oh. That was what she said to me. The wind, this UBA wind would have carried me, be like, Auntie Betty. The wind would have carried me then, So I got there and I had my first book and I went into this room. The person who sponsored that trip for me, who gave me the voucher, must have told them, please give her your pink room. People know me, I'm pink.
Yes.
I got into that room and I said, let me go under the duvet. It was so fluffy, it was so welcoming. And that was my first 3 hours sleep in like 2 years. I woke up and I was calling everybody. Fred, my late brother, Fred, I slept. Gloria, Musum, Iye, Ivie, you know, and it became like a big deal. So everybody in my family started calling the other person, Betty's son. She Betty took me, Betty's son, Betty slept. I was like, we would do a song out of that, like a rap song. Betty slept. It was such a big deal. And you know, Sonny was like, Sonny called, Fred said you slept. So, you know, it was a big deal. I hadn't slept in like 3 years. In 3 years, let's just say I had maybe a month's sleep. So I had bags, I had everything that would even make you further to play. So I was there for 10 days. I know I took my book and I took my magazine. I put it in the lounge and everybody was like, you're a celebrity. You have a magazine, you're a celebrity. So they coined me Queen Elizabeth. They said, don't call yourself Betty, you're Queen Elizabeth. I had fun. Most people were there to recover. Some had lost a partner. Some were going through an addiction. So we were all the kindred spirits with different stories.
That's amazing.
So, but sadly, the first day I got there was the only night I slept. And I even saw a hypnotist. You know, there's so many things. And the guy was like, when you finish, I'm like, okay, you don't finish. Because I don't hear anything, I don't see anything. Right? You know, at the sound of my voice, I was like, oh God, the money they paid you from me, it just wasted, you know. But looking back now, I got back from catering, you know, I had a bit of blush in my face, I had a bit of, blood on my face, in the sense that, you know, I had, you know.
The facial, is it?
No.
You were happy,
we went mountain climbing. Yeah. We went mountain climbing. We had series for 10 days. We were doing different things. So let's say that life came back to my face. So it was when I was going that Susie hugged me and said, you look better.
Yeah.
And that when you first came in, I thought you were dealing with something terminal.
Well,
that was how beautiful I looked. For them to think I had something terminal. So it's all about intentional living now. It's all about me. I'm in a fantastic place, and no one, I'm not going to give anyone permission to come into my space and try and infect me with negativity. So I'm in charge of my life in such a way as I've never been. I left too many things to people I needed. I always wanted people to validate me. They said I looked nice. If they didn't say, then they looked nice. So I'm in a fantastic place, and I'm happy. I go around sharing these stories with people, and it's so beautiful to see people coming out to share their stories because they feel like I gave them permission to do so without any sense of shame, fear, or vulnerability. So I hear people's story. I remember I did one in Kano, and I had a session. Usually I have sessions. I had a session with this lady who was in an abusive relationship, not the non-physical, and I made her realize it was an abuse. And 3 months later, she chatted with me to say she was back in school and that she had left that marriage.
Well done, Auntie.
You know?
Well
and I
done.
remember she said to me that when I said to my husband, good morning, he says to her, good morning, from your smelling mouth. Look at you. You know, just from good morning, she said that he will hold insult at her. So when she said, I'm back home, I'm going to school. So the feedbacks give me wings to fly. I feel this whole journey, sharing my story, has not been a waste. It can never be a waste.
Well done, Auntie Betty.